Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the Aftermath series. Let us waste no time at all and dive right into this week's episode of Critical Role. So the party has entered this donjon plane within the Astral Dreadnought, and inside we discovered Halas's laboratory, where he carries out his various experiments. Now we soon discover that Halas has transferred his soul into a ruby that Not found under one of these tables in the lab. And upon picking up this ruby, Halas, who is trapped inside, can communicate with whoever is holding it. We discover that Halas is indeed trapped within the ruby due to not foreseeing that a potential enemy would sabotage his plans of immortality. The party does take several precautions though before continuing their conversation with Halas. They throw this gem very far away from the group so they can discuss the best route to take. Now obviously Caleb is extremely cautious with Halas, given that Halas is a very powerful mage and morality is relatively gray when you have that much power. So while Halas did say that he would help the party get out in exchange for freeing him, we don't really know what he intends to do once he is free. We really don't know a lot about Halas. All that we know is that he created this happy fun ball and he has incredible power. Enough power to contain an Astral Dreadnought and who knows what else within this ball. But some interesting information we found was within Halas's books that he had within this laboratory. Some of these books contained research, others contained ancient spells, and spells of his own creation. Some of these spells talked about soul transferring and creating clones of himself, which we did see. But the spell that Halas has been working on creating is about making permanent alterations to your body. Now this obviously sparks Not's interest because Not wishes to become a halfling once again. Maybe if things work out with Halas, Not won't need Caleb to do this kind of spell, she can just rely on Halas. And later on in the episode, Not even brings this up to Halas to a certain extent. She mentions that she's curious about this permanent body alterations, and Halas is interested in her curiosity. Although Not doesn't explicitly say what she wants altered, Halas is still very much intrigued. And because Caleb is being extra cautious, and they don't want Halas possessing one of the Mighty Nine, at least one of the magic users, they relied on Beauregard to be the main point of communication between Halas and the rest of the party. Ultimately, the party decides to team up with Halas and get out of this donjon and rescue Yusa. Halas gives the information that the party needs to traverse the various rooms to get to the prison of Soot where Yusa is being kept. And so the party makes their way through the various rooms and into a particularly curious room where a horned devil resides, trapped by Halas. Halas uses this horned devil to gain information and demonic powers. Now something interesting that this devil said is that according to this devil, Halas has made several deals with other demons and fiends. Deals that granted Halas knowledge and power, but somehow Halas has always managed to escape these contracts and deals he's formed. So while Halas isn't necessarily looking towards lichdom for immortality, there still are some shady things he's probably done. But the party continues past this horned devil room into the prison of Soot. Now within this prison of Soot there were several adamantine chests that seemingly hold the possessions of the prisoners. Now, not being curious as to what could be in them, she attempts to pick its lock. However, she didn't search for traps beforehand. And unfortunately, she triggered what I can only assume is a power word kill trap, and Not died. Thankfully for less than a minute, as Revivify came in super clutch once again. But let this be a lesson to everyone. Always check for traps. But this particular moment shook Caleb and Jester particularly. Caleb obviously deeply cares about Not, given their very deep relationship, and that whole situation happened so suddenly. It really just goes to show how easy it is to die in this place. So hopefully the Mighty Nine will tread slightly carefully in the future. Eventually the party does find Yusa and free him from this prison of Soot, and then they go back into the main study area where the party explains that Halas is trapped within this ruby. Yusa explains to the party that freeing Halas would probably not be the best idea, given that he may very well be evil. So for the time being, Halas will remain trapped within this ruby. But this probably also means some dire consequences down the line, as the party have technically gone back on their deal with Halas, which I can't imagine he'd be too terribly excited about. But as long as they never free him, I guess they won't have to worry. Eventually, the party and Yusa leave the Happy Fun Ball, finally, after so long. It feels like they've been in there for ages. In real time, I believe they've been gone for about 3 weeks, maybe a bit longer. Hopefully not too much has changed with the war between the Empire and the Dynasty, but 3 weeks is quite a long time. After a brief discussion outside the Happy Fun Ball, Yusa contacts Allura to let her know that the party has returned, and she can begin her ritual that she talked about, where she may be able to get more information on the Angel of Irons and Yasha. And so Allura arrives and begins to perform the spell. And this spell revealed probably the most important information we've gotten so far in the campaign. The Angel of Irons is a ruse, it's a guise. The Angel of Irons is actually Tharizdun, the Chained Oblivion. And for those of you who don't know, Tharizdun is basically the betrayer god. He is the most evilest entity in the universe. The Chained Oblivion seeks to destroy existence as we know it. The rest of the betrayer gods are like little hummingbirds in comparison. And it seems that Oban and company are attempting to unleash him. Now, we don't necessarily know if Oban is also being duped or if he is aware of the Angel of Iron's identity. But we do know one thing for sure: we do now have our big bad evil guy of the campaign. And the Mighty Nine have now entered the global stage, as Allura is even going to contact her council to let them know what's going on behind the scenes with this Angel of Irons. Does this mean we might have potential Vox Machina cameos? Will some of the members of the Mighty Nine become champions of various gods, specifically Beauregard becoming a champion of Ioun? We do know that previously during the Calamity, Ioun suffered a great wound by the hands of the Chained Oblivion, so we can only assume that Ioun at least, and even Pelor, since Pelor also had a hand in sealing away the Chained Oblivion, will Ioun choose Beauregard to be her champion? And something the Traveler said a long time ago is beginning to make sense. After the battle in the King's Cage, the Traveler had mentioned that many eyes were on the party, not just the Stormlord. Is it possible that the gods knew that this Angel of Irons was a ruse, and they were just waiting for confirmation? Or are the gods planning something entirely different? There is one person that I do feel absolutely terrible for in this entire situation, and that's Yasha. She seems to be caught in this game of tug-of-war between the Chained Oblivion and the Stormlord. Hopefully, with the help of Yusa and Allura, the party will be able to sever Yasha's ties with Oban and the Angel of Irons. But for now, we're just gonna have to wait and see. I, for one, am extremely worried about this Chained Oblivion. As I said before, this is the betrayer god, the ender of all living things. It is going to take the combined efforts of the world to stop him. But with all of that being said, we are going to wrap up. Let me know all of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, as we got some serious information. As always, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will see you all next week.